to the February 2025 meeting of the City of Auburn Planning Commission. Can we get a roll call, please?
Dana Camp,
Here.
Nanette Reese, Wendy Birmingham,
Here.
David Wisdom,
Here.
Joseph Astrup,
Here.
Phil Chancellor,
Here.
Jennifer Stevens,
Here.
Oscar Mosley,
Here.
Walker Davis.
Here.
For those of you who have not attended one of our meetings before, I will go over a brief overview of our process. First, the Planning Commission is presented with an agenda from staff. The applicant for each item will be given an opportunity to present their request and answer questions from the commission. Some items on our agenda require a public hearing. During the public hearing, anyone is welcome to speak for up to 5 minutes with respect to the agenda item. We serve on behalf of the citizens of Auburn and welcome your comments. If you choose to participate in the public hearing, please keep your comments germane to the item at hand. And please remember to sign in on the table next to the podium. I think some of y'all already have done that. The Planning Commission will deliberate on each item based on local laws, the City of Auburn Comprehensive Plan, and for the good of the community. I'll now open up for citizens' communications. This is your opportunity to speak on any item not before us tonight on the agenda. Does anyone want to speak with respect to citizens' communications? Seeing none, I will now close citizens' communications and move on to the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion has been made and it has been seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we'll move on to new business.
Good evening. Your first case under new business tonight is a request for preliminary plat approval for a 39-lot conventional subdivision. The subject property is located at the northeast corner of Hamilton Road and Bonnie Glen Road. It's approximately 47.5 acres in size in the Comprehensive Development District zoning district. The future land use designation for this property is low-density residential, which calls for an average density of 4 dwelling units an acre. The plat shows 39 lots, 36 of which are single-family conventional residential lots. There are 2 lots labeled as future development, and there is 1 outlot here, the northern edge of the property. Moore's Mill Creek runs through this lot, and it is within the 100-year floodplain. When accounting for the buildable area of the single-family lots, the density is 1.4 dwelling units an acre, which is below the maximum density for a conventional subdivision in CDD of 4 dwelling units an acre. The applicant submitted a conceptual master plan that shows Hartwood Street here extending down to connect to Bonnie Glen Road at some point in the future. Staff recommends approval of the plat. There were a number of staff comments, your typical run-of-the-mill comments that you may see on a preliminary plat. The comment most worthy of note is from engineering, and it states that a development agreement will be required, and that agreement will be between the city and developer to formalize the timing and location of that connection to Bonnie Glen.
Any comments?
I received 1 email asking for information, and I spoke with one lady on the telephone to answer general questions.
Thank you. Does the applicant have any comments at this time? Thank you. I'll now open up the public hearing. If you have something to say about this agenda item, you may come forward now. Anyone?
It's just about the,
I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead, no, go ahead. I'm just signing in, go ahead.
Come on.
Hello,
Oh.
my name is Mike Arison, and I live at 2026 Bonnie Glen Road. I have a question about the preliminary plat. Does it call for a decel lane or a turn lane off of Hamilton Road?
Excuse me. If you could pause the time, Tiffany. Thank you. Normally, I'll cover this just kind of at the outset, just kind of with much larger public hearings, like we have a lot of people. So you should know, everybody should know who would like to speak during the public hearing. We do not answer questions during the public hearing. So please state all of your opinions, all your questions. We will answer your questions at the end of the public hearing and like once the public hearing is closed. So if everybody has questions, just ask them. We'll take note of them during your time to speak, and then we'll answer them at the end instead of kind of having a Q&A session and going back and forth in the middle of it. So sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, this is my first plan.
All good. Sorry, I should have clarified at the top.
And so if a decel lane or turn lane is not being required, why is that? The traffic study that was done, I assume there was a traffic study done, did it take into account the large amount of traffic that's generated on a Sunday for the new church that's up there? It can sometimes take upwards of 20 minutes to get from Bonnie Glen to Moores Mill Road during Sunday at church. And what does it mean by future development connection to Bonnie Glen Road? And what's the timing of that connection? Will there be any timeframes in the development agreement for the rest of the development when it has to be completed by? In this submission, it looks like the status of the right-of-way of Bonnie Glen Road is unclear, and can that be cleared up as to what the status of the right-of-way of Bonnie Glen Road is? And does the city have any other plans for Bonnie Glen Road not associated with this development? Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else at this time that would like to speak on this agenda item?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing this. My name is Katie Schaefer. I reside at 2036 Bonnie Glen Road. I have several considerations about this project. However, I would like to state that I'm actually pro-development. I attended Auburn's Master of Real Estate Development program, and I would be perfectly fine with this if my considerations are taken care of. My main concern is actually the same as my neighbor, Mr. Harrison's, are, and that is the traffic coming off of Hamilton Road as it stands, as well as our road. It is not evident from the lot map that Bonnie Glen off of Hamilton Road, there are actually two separate Bonnie Glen roads. One is off of Bent Creek Road. I don't know if it's possible that you could show the main proposed lot so that everyone can see what I'm talking about.
Get the prox map.
The prox map, yeah. Thank you so much. If you look at Bent Creek, you can see the one part of Bonnie Glen Road, and that's actually paved. The other half of Bonnie Glen Road is unpaved. About once a month, we have to call City of Auburn to have crush and run or something done so that we can actually drive down our road as it stands. This does not apply to everyone on my road, but I have 3 children who go to Auburn City Schools. I'm very proud of that, I want to say. What I'm not proud of is that every day, whenever I pick up my 7-year-old at the bus stop at the end of our Bonnie Glen Road, the unpaved Bonnie Glen Road, because the bus can't drive down our Bonnie Glen Road, I'm afraid that something will happen. On 5 separate occasions, the bus driver has had to honk at people because of the curve that we sit in. She does everything she possibly can, but the bus can't drive down our road. If the bus can't drive down our road, I kind of worry that first responders can't drive down our road. And I have pictures, if anyone would like to look at it, from after the rains last night where we could barely drive down our road. It was our understanding when we bought our house that there was some kind of proposed plan by the developer to pave our Bonnie Glen Road. However, it's our understanding now that that's not going to happen. So we're all kind of wondering, is our Bonnie Glen Road, if everyone kind of follows my side of our Bonnie Glen Road, the unpaved Bonnie Glen Road, Is our Bonnie Glen Road going to get paved so that there's a possibility that a bus, a fire truck, an ambulance, something can drive down our road so that my kids will be safe, so that I could be safe? That's a very big concern. I also, on the other lot, showing those lots being in development, I'm very concerned as it stands now that there are 3 retention ponds, one of them that is already going to back up to Bonnie Glen Road. If something were to happen, kind of like last night, and there was overfill, that would entirely wash out our road. We'd be stuck, and I'm kind of wondering who's going to fix that. So, again, I'm not against this development. I want that to be said. I'll happily sell these houses. I just want to be able to get to the main street. And it's not just church on Sundays, it's every single day. It's kind of hard to turn left or to turn right as it stands. So thank you very much for listening to me. Those are my concerns. And because it's my kids, it's a sword I'll fall on.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Planning Committee. My name is Darphine Smith, and I am a homeowner at 2044 Bonnie Glen. This is my family home, and we have lived in this community for over 70 years, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all. I am aligned with the 2 neighbors that just spoke about that, the traffic. So I want to ask, has a traffic study been conducted? If so, what measures will be taken to prevent the entryway impact my driveway based on the traffic? If so, may I get a copy and the reviews? The increased development could lead to drainage problems as well and potential flooding. Have environmental impact studies been completed? How will the green spaces and the trees preservation be handled? A lot of those trees give us privacy to our home. Have studies been done to assess how will the impact surrounding our property value? I urge the Planning Committee to reject or reconsider this development to ensure it aligns with our community needs. We want responsible growth that considers current resident concerns. While I understand the need for development, I have serious concerns about the impact this project will have on drainage and flooding. My property is located down here from the proposed site, and any change to the land's natural drainage patterns would significantly increase the risk of flooding. Currently, during heavy rainfalls, we already experience drainage issues, and adding more impervious surfaces such as roads and rooftop could exacerbate this problem. I would like to know what specific measures have been taken to ensure that existing properties like mine will not suffer from increased stormwater runoff as a result of this development. Has a comprehensive drainage and stormwater management plan been conducted? If so, what mitigation strategies are being implemented to prevent flooding in surrounding properties? I urge the Commission to carefully consider the long-term impact on current residents and ensure that proper safeguards such as retention ponds, improved drainage, infrastructure, or natural buffers are in place before approving this project. With this proposed subdivision sure comes new zoning rules. Will the new zoning allow me to legally rent out my home if needed? Are there any short-term rental restrictions like Airbnb in the zoning area? Will rezoning impact my ability to make modifications such as adding accessory dwelling units or converting my property into a duplex? How will this affect my property value and the potential rental income? As we have up-and-coming high school graduates that will attend Auburn, and will it affect them to rent a room to get extra income? So at this point, I'm asking you to take all of these in consideration and just help us. You know, we're neighbors, and I mean, I'm not against building and making more homes for other families, but we have been on this land for years and years and years, and then you all know the situation. You all know what happened. So I'm asking you, just look out for the neighbors.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else at this time who would like to speak?
name's Robert Gamatese. I live at 2029 Bonnie Glen. I have a few questions of my own and then some questions I'm asking on behalf of another neighbor. My two questions are, what is the plan for maintaining access off Hamilton Road? Is there potential for, Bonnie Glen to be rerouted or closed from the Hamilton Road side? And then is there the potential for installation of city water and sewage on Bonnie Glen, which there currently is not? There's one private line, that blue line that's shown there actually goes to a single resident, but I think the meter for that is actually on Hamilton Road. So would those city utilities be brought down the road? And another property owner, Jim Parker, has a few questions he wanted me to ask. What rights do the neighboring property owners have to sway city approvals one way or another on this development? I think initially there were some townhome lots deleted from the current plat. Why were they deleted from the current plat approval request, and will the townhome lots be included in a later request? What is the situation on tying Bonnie Glen into the subdivision across the creek, the Brentwood development off Champions? And when will the connector road to Bonnie Glen be completed in order to access Bonnie Glen Road from the proposed subdivision? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, if all those who spoke signed in,
I think, has everybody signed in that spoke? I think a lot of people signed in ahead of time before we began. Is there anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. I think we have a few questions to ask, Count. Mr. Baskin.
I wrote some of these down, but y'all, if you want the city to answer the Bonnie Glen question, because Bonnie Glen is peripheral to us. So it's not part of our property, it's not inside our property, it's outside of our property. So I'll let the city address Bonnie Glen, and then I can address the rest.
Staff, is there any answer on Bonnie Glen?
I jotted down the questions as well. Can y'all hear me?
I think you're turned off.
I think you're off.
Dan. So I tried to jot down the comments as they were coming up. There's no plan right now to pave Bonnie Glen Road. We talked about their conceptual master plan that we wanted to see, and they submitted with this that would show a future connection to Bonnie Glen Road. The reason we made the comment about a development agreement is because we want to ensure that that happens within a certain time frame and doesn't just linger out there if the second phase doesn't come in right away. So that's what that is about.
Wait a minute, so you're saying that that development agreement's gonna consider the paving of Bonnie Glen? Or
the
not?
connection from their new development to
Okay.
Bonnie Glen, yeah. So Bonnie Glen, the access, ideally in the future, the new development where it accesses Hamilton, Bonnie Glen would route, when it connects to the new development, would route through the new development and use the new access to Hamilton. Ultimately, the current access would go away at that point. Timing isn't something we can pin down right now because there's other property owners involved. So that's going to be figured out to the degree that it can be figured out in the next, few months as we're approaching working on this development agreement. But things could change between now and when they, start building this first phase and get around to phase two. Whether the developer acquires additional property that could come into play and make sense to route things slightly different than what their master plan is showing now. We don't know at this time on that.
So are you saying that the unpaved section of Bonnie Glen will not be used? Is that what you're saying?
I think the unpaved section that they're referring to is north of where this new development would tie in. So that would just remain as is for now. Yep.
That's what I want to clarify.
Yeah, so all the residents live north of this, so the issues between where this proposed connection would be to Bonnie Glen is, I don't think there's any residents on there. If there are,
No, not according to this
on,
master.
there are some on the Minnie Morgan property, but they could access it. So they could access either way once this connection was made. The issue is, you know, across that property there is no established right-of-way on there. It's just assumed based on where the road has been driven for years, and which is problematic for most of the stretch of Bonnie Glen. The only two sections we actually have platted right-of-way is what the Cleveland's dedicated that's shown on this plat, and as well as what crosses Mr. Parker's property at Hamilton Road. That is correct. We've been monitoring that for years, so yes.
No, excuse me. Thank you. Yeah, point of order. Thanks. So since public hearing's closed, I'm just gonna ask if everybody could just kind of withhold their comments kind of until the end. Allow the applicant to speak, and then I guess if y'all have any other questions or anything, just either for staff or for the applicant, just kind of ask them afterwards. Thank you.
The other questions was a traffic study done? Yes, a traffic study was done and submitted to the city. There was questions about turn lanes on Hamilton Road. There's turn lanes. If you see on this master plan, it's showing a northbound left turn lane and a southbound right turn lane into the new developed road. They asked about, so we've been asked to connect our paved road to the unpaved road. We're fine connecting. We're just trying to figure out what's the best way to connect to it for our project, which is a future phase. You know, we're agreeing to connect to it, but you know, there's a lot of moving parts in regards to I think everything that's going on in Bonnie Glen.
Excuse me real quick, can you put the prox map back up? I have to get an understanding of where this unpaved road.
Yeah, so the
which piece
unpaved
of it?
side is the side that's connected to Hamilton, and then so if you follow like the entirety of Bonnie Glen, as you go, I guess left on the map, the left side goes into the Champions development. That's how it's paved, and so they're separated by a culvert bridge, one lane road bridge, and then the other side, kind of as you move towards Hamilton, is unpaved and incredibly steep. I should ride my bike on it.
So the unpaved is gonna drop right into Hamilton Road.
It does now.
Yes,
It does
yes.
now. I mean,
It
the
does
road's been
now.
there for
Right.
50
Yeah.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's steep.
Yeah, see.
Yes.
I mean, we're not changing the road. These homeowners have lived on this road. We're not touching the road, right? Our development is totally independent of Bonnie Glen. Bonnie Glen's been there. Bonnie Glen was there when they built it in the same condition. We're not changing it, okay? We're just trying to build our development. We're trying to be good neighbors to tie into Bonnie Glen like the city's asked us. That's all we're doing.
Okay, so if you go back to the next
Yeah,
plat, please.
go back to the other one to show the connection.
Not yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So what is connecting to Hamilton right now, that's the unpaved piece, going through those two properties, correct?
Well, it keeps going plan page bottom too, right?
All the way down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes even further down than you see up towards Hamilton.
Okay, and your connection would be, I can't read any of this sign, the connection that looks like it's going north-south. That would be the connection into Bonnie Glen.
It's east-west on this page.
East-west on this page.
The
Yeah.
north-south piece that you see it, we've dedicated that right-of-way 6 months ago when we consolidated this property into one parcel. So that's the only true right-of-way of Bonnie Glen that we dedicated to the city as part of a previous administrative plat.
Okay, so your access for your development will come off of
Hamilton
Hamilton
Road.
up here on the,
Brand new.
and that's the
paved road.
what is it, Woodson Hills Drive, or I can't read it,
Yes, sir.
but
That's
Yeah,
it.
Woodson.
got it.
Yep, you got it.
Thanks.
Okay.
I know one of the homeowners was concerned about drainage. Her property is actually upstream of us, so we're gonna be getting all of her drainage. Bonnie Glen, for the most part, is all upstream of us. Our site does not drain to Bonnie Glen. I think that would alleviate their concerns on the drainage of Bonnie Glen, at least from our side. There was, I guess, some questions about uses. This property is zoned CDD, right? So it's the most permissive zoning we have, up to 9.5 units per acre. I think Amber mentioned, we're only at a unit and a half on this development. There's a lot of other uses permitted by right. We're doing the single family, contemplating what the other uses are going to be on here. There's plenty of them that are allowable by right, which we would have to come back before this body to subdivide if we were going to do some other form of another housing type. So those plans are still up in the air. We want to go ahead with the larger single family estate lots now, and then that's part of why the connection to Bonnie Glen, we're still trying to figure out exactly what type of product and what type of use we're going to use for the rest of the property. And I think, was there any other questions?
Traffic study?
Yeah, traffic study's done, or traffic study's done. It was submitted to the city a few weeks ago.
Time frame for development was another one of the questions.
We'd love to get started here and be in the ground in the next 90 days, if not sooner. For that,
There's some
for the
kind of
first phase.
anticipated build-out?
Yeah.
I mean,
Depends on market forces and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at, 3 to 5 years probably, I would say, would be an average horizon there.
Just real quick on traffic study, just for what's the process? This is kind of aimed at the staff. What's the process once you receive a traffic study? Then what? Like, how do you determine what mitigation factors you need, et cetera, et cetera? And how does the public figure that, get an understanding of that?
I'm not sure how the public gets an understanding of that unless they.
I mean, the
want to
results,
specifically-
there's gonna be some kind of results.
Correct, yeah. The traffic study will get submitted and we review it to make sure we agree with everything it's saying and how the analysis was done. There's a section in the traffic study that just has conclusions, recommendations, and that's, it'll typically state what mitigation, is being recommended by the traffic engineer that did the report. There's usually some feedback from us and some back and forth to discuss, if we think any additional mitigation is needed, plus we have some standard requirements that do require certain traffic improvements regardless of what the traffic study might say. So all that gets looked at and taken into consideration until we arrive at a point where we all agree that the traffic study is complete. And then those improvements that are recommended in there will get implemented into the engineering plans and built with the project.
Thanks.
One more question for you. Someone asked about maintaining the access to Bonnie Glen, and I guess the only thing that would apply to you is where you're connecting to Bonnie Glen, and that will eventually be turned over to the city, and it will be a city maintenance on that part, and that part will be paved.
Our connection to Bonnie Glen would be paved, yes.
Yes,
We would have to
right.
pave up to Bonnie Glen.
Exactly. Okay, the rest, I have a question for staff.
Okay. Yeah, we good? Thank you.
Someone mentioned city utilities, that there's none right now for those residents on Bonnie Glen.
I may have to defer this one to Matt.
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah, that is correct. Right now, we can provide water and sewer, but right now there is no water and sewer along Bonnie Glen. You'll notice one of our comments that we've been working with Brett on is provide an easement from the new connection road to Bonnie Glen, because that is something we're looking at right now, is potential to possibly get at least water to Bonnie Glen.
To Bonnie
So,
Glen, okay. That answers that.
That's not currently in any kind of plan to do that. It
Not
depends
at,
on what comes out of this.
that's right.
It's-
That's correct.
yeah.
And will the development have water and sewer from the city?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so water and sewer to the development, but not necessarily those residents that are off of Bonnie Glen.
That's correct.
Okay, got it.
Can we go back to that Prox map? I want to see the zoning. So, one question had to do with, really was uses. You know, can I build a duplex and can I do, short-term rentals and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff? Well, that's all set out in whatever zone, whatever the zoning is. There are rules that say you can, what you can do, what's permitted, what might be conditional use, which means you got to come through a hearing to talk about that. So while, and there's quite a few things, it's not like I can rattle them all off here, but there is, if you're interested in what it is that you can do with your property in the current zoning, call that planning department and say, hey, here's my address, tell me my zoning and what can I do? And there's a document you can go to online that kind of lays all that stuff out. So,
And with this particular item, we're approving a preliminary plat, so we're not changing any of those zoning restrictions. It's just, we're approving this particular development within the CDD zone, so nothing is changing as far as what's permitted.
Yeah, and I guess kind of to add to that, this isn't something that they'd be able to change kind of like midstream. If at this moment, I mean, they have to declare like for the preliminary plat, like what the uses are going to be, because then that determines the dimensions and everything that they're going to be scrutinized and that we're looking at as far as lot minimum, setbacks, et cetera, et cetera. And so even though there are a lot of things permitted by right, it's not like they're going to come here, do this, and then it's, well, we approve this, and then, well, we're going to do this thing, and then we have no say in it. That's not how it would go. Lot dimensions and things would have to change, and so then there'd have to be another preliminary plat and other things associated with that. So,
Are there any more comments or questions from the commission? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve PP 2024-053.
Second?
Motion has been made and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Good afternoon. This request is a conditional use request for conditional use approval for an industrial use, specifically manufacturing facility, located at 2555 West Tech Lane in the industrial zoning district. As you can see, located within the West Tech Park Annex area, just south of Beehive Road and just east of West Tech Lane. The future land use of this is also industrial, which provides support for existing and future land uses, especially industrial parks. So we feel that the future land use is compatible. As mentioned in the introduction, this is phase 6 of the Shinhua development, which is this approximately 73,000 square foot building that's going to be built. It is located just to the southeast of phase 5, and that phase 5 is just south of phase 1 to 3 and east of phase 4, so it's all roped in there together. And since this property meets what the previous and existing future land use and zoning is intended for, staff is recommending approval of this request. And we just have basic comments for most conditional uses, so nothing specific.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? All right. I'll now open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll now close the public hearing. Applicant, do you have any comments? Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments at this time? Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve CU 2025-001.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Hello everyone, this is a conditional use approval request for a road service use, which is a detailing shop in the CDD. It's located 1975 Mall Boulevard. And if you see, so these are all existing buildings, so no new development has been proposed. To the north, there are some duplex properties in here, but then there's a wooden fence that kind of forms a buffer in the area. Most of the land uses of these buildings that you see are warehouses and retails and office storages and those kinds of uses. The future land use of the property is light industrial, and also the car detailing shop is a conditional use for a CDD, and preferably it's should be located around a commercial center, but also it is not visibly a very appealing land use, so it might be located a little away from the main corridors, which both of which are true in this case. So the location is befitting in terms of the land use. And here you can see kind of the building layouts, and this is the suite 205, which is the concerned location, as everything as like there is no new construction, so there is no change of ISR or FAR. And the building has been the site plan was approved in 2001, so there is no change or no new development standards for this. The only concern is the number of parking, because it's a detailing shop with a car wash. So excuse me. So the conditions are the car storage used must be limited to the 5 parking spaces that is shown in the site plan, and it may not be expanded. No more than 2 cars at a time can be taken in for detailing, and any equipment used in the operation of the car wash must be stored indoors when not in use. Other than that, the water resources has some comments where a civil site plan is required showing all the utility connections for this business. So as far as the applicant meets those conditions, the staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Applicants here, y'all have any comments or anything you want to say?
No, it's appointment only type stuff, so we shouldn't conflict with any of that.
Commission, do you have any questions or comments at this time? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve case CU 2025-002
With conditions.
with
You need to-
conditions.
Dave, you need to open the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, we missed the public hearing on that one. I will now open up a public hearing. Is there anyone here from the public that wants to speak? Seeing none, I think they all left. We'll close the public hearing, and we will now hear a motion.
Motion to approve CU 2025-002 with conditions.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. I don't have any announcements. Do you have any announcements?
No, I just got to send y'all an email, just kind of about getting this work session for the Gold Hill conditional use PUD set up. That's it. So
Great.
that's all I got. Yeah.
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good night.
And this is Connor's last day here, if you just want to mention.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. So it's Connor's last meeting, and so Connor took a new job. Yeah.
Not allowed.
Where's he going?
Oh, yeah. So he's going back home. He moved up to. Yeah. He's